And today I want to make you a sunflower seed cream parfait. And start off with, I'm going to be using a cup of soaked sunflower seeds. And a lot of people might not consider sunflower seeds for sweet dishes. Usually seen in a lot of savory raw recipes, pâtés, creams, but they're very versatile. They make great creamy bases for dressings and a great snack, just dehydrated, a little bit of sea salt, you know, crunchy thing going on, good in granolas. And, but they do lend themselves really well to creamy dishes, creamy sweet dishes. And the cool thing about them is they work well even in a standard blender. I mean, I'm going to be using Vitamix today, but this will work in your standard blender at home. Might take a little bit longer, scrape down the sides a little bit, but it's doable, definitely. And the great sunflower seeds are great for seed cheeses too. And they're also high in zinc and linoleic acid, which is really good for your heart and lowering cholesterol. And they're also said to boost libido, which is always a good thing. How long did you soak them? I soaked these for about 2 to 6 hours. These ones in particular, I did 6 hours overnight in the fridge. And
oh, not outside.
Sorry?
Not outside. The soaking.
Oh no, you can totally do it on your counter. I like to, if I'm preparing a recipe and I want to soak my nuts and seeds far ahead of time, what I like to do is I'll take them, throw them in a container, cover them over with something, put them in the fridge so they don't absorb any funky fridge odors. And being in the cool of the fridge helps slow down the germination time. And sometimes if you let nuts and seeds soak for too long, say 12 hours or longer, at room temperature, they can begin to ferment. That natural culturing process takes place, and it can make your nuts and seeds taste funky. It would be good for a seed cheese, but not for this dish we're going to be doing here.
Are they sprouted now?
They actually might have started to. Some of them have peeled open. And the cool thing about sunflower seeds, compared to a lot of nuts like almonds and cashews, it's really easy to find them raw. I found raw sunflower seeds even like prepackaged at Trader Joe's, and found them sprouting in the sink drain when we played around of who's going to do the dishes, and they sat there overnight.
And you drain the water?
What's that?
Our people say drain the water.
Oh no, the soap water from these? No, the soap water is going to be full of enzyme inhibitors.
Yes,
and
drain it.
oh yeah, you drain it. Sorry, I thought you said drink. My bad.
So you get them raw, and then you put the water in them, and you put them in the refrigerator for 6 hours.
Mm-hmm. And you can totally do it. Like I said, you can do it on your counter as long as you're going to be, monitoring it. But like I said, if you're going to go to work and you're going to throw them in on your way out the door, it's a good way to be sure that you're not going to go into that fermentation process. So it makes it really foolproof. And I see a lot of recipes still just call for throwing water in there to get your nuts or seeds going in the blender. I always like to add a little ice in place of some of the water, because the friction of those blades, especially in a high-speed blender like this, is going to warm up your dish, and that's going to further break down the enzymes in here and in the seeds. And also, it's great if you want to serve it right away, because this dish is best served chilled, and this way you can have your dishes, your prepared foods, chilled and ready to go right out of the blender.
What kind of blender is that?
This is a Vitamix. Okay, and I'm going to be adding about a half cup of ice water.
Is the ice also made from the filtered water?
Actually, this one's not.
But the other one you use at home?
Oh, at home, definitely. I always use filtered water.
I have tasted that these outside ice, this doesn't taste good.
Oh, yeah? Oh, this is a pretty good one, the one I got. I always worry about that, too. And now, to give this a good flavor and sweetness and texture, I'm going to be adding about 6 pitted dates. And these aren't pitted. I like to get them with the pits in them, because then they're really moist. One thing I always recommend when you're pitting your dates is always, when you pop them open, examine them, make sure there's no little brown round dots in there. If you see that, 9 times out of 10, that's frass, which is another nice word for bug poo. So if you see those in there, you might want to discard that date. It might not be good. Unless you're looking for extra B12. There we go. And these are pretty good sized dates, and some of them are look a little darker than I'd like, so I'm just going to put a few in there. 6 is the recommended amount in the recipe. Go. And now give it a really good flavor. We'll be using about a 1-inch piece of a vanilla bean pod. And if you're using a standard blender at home, what you want to do, if you're using vanilla bean pods, I highly recommend, it's kind of tricky to do with gloves, not used to working with gloves, but here we go here, is you want to split the vanilla bean pod down the middle, and then you'll see this kind of black resin coming out of there, and that's the seeds. And those contain the majority of the flavor, and they blend easily into a dish if you're using a standard blender. But using a Vitamix, it'll break it down pretty good, so I'm just going to throw the whole thing in there. And if you're using vanilla extract, just go ahead and use a teaspoon of that. And I always recommend with raw desserts, any raw dishes that you're using vanilla in, to try and get alcohol free if you can. Because compared to cooked dishes, you're not going to be cooking off that alcohol. So you might have a little bit of an alcohol-y taste in your finished product if you're using extract with alcohol in it. And now, to cut the seedy flavor of the sunflower seeds even further and to help preserve it and give it a nice tang, and it also helps to emulsify the oil, fats and oils in the seeds, I'm going to be adding the juice of 1 lemon. Here, we added it to my eye there, but it's all good. And this thing I'm using here, you could use a fork or whatever you got to strain it out. I'm using a sprouting jar lid. I love these things. I don't really sprout in jars much, but I do use them for draining my seeds off. So I like to soak my stuff in mason jars. We use mason jars all the time in our house. And they make ones with even finer mesh things, and you could use that for soaking sesame seeds or even like the smaller seeds like that. And they make great strainers for lemon juice. Keep the seeds from going in your dish. Okay, now we got that going in there. Okay, and usually when I make this at home, I'm a vegan, so I do use beef products at home. I'll use raw honey. But I know a lot of people are vegan here, so I want to keep it vegan, so I'm going to be using raw agave nectar. You use about a 1/4 cup of raw honey, or 3 tablespoons of raw agave nectar. I find that agave is more pronounced in this dish, so I cut it back a little bit. And don't mind me, I'm just eyeballing this. There we go. And now, my favorite part, your blend. Sunflower seed cream, and this will keep in your refrigerator about 2 to 3 days. And you might notice when you put it in there and store it, one of the tricky things with sunflower seeds is they seem to oxidize a little bit, even with the lemon juice in there. Lemon juice does help preserve it, but it'll get a little brown on the exterior surface where it's in contact with air. But you just mix it all up. Don't worry about it. Still tastes great. Okay, and now we're going to take a parfait cup. And we're going to layer some fruit in here. Got some blueberries. And I got a label from the lemon, which I don't want in food. Okay. Dollop of the parfait on top of there. Some bananas in the middle layer. And you could do whatever kind of fruit floats your boat in this thing. These are just some of my favorites. But here we go. Here's my attempt at prettiness. And you have a flower. And you want a shot of that?
This will be a new